I'm a recovering people pleaser. Can anyone relate? Have you ever considered yourself this person who is helpful and kind and reliable, and you like to be prepared, overly prepared all the time? But one day you get resentful, or maybe you get frustrated, or maybe it doesn't come back to you. This episode is going to be a deeply honest conversation about the helper, the preparer, and the person who just hates when other people are unhappy with them. And if that is you, I promise you, you will love this episode all about why you can't say no and how you break free from people pleasing. Have you ever felt held back by self-doubt, whether it's speaking up in a meeting or connecting with others or simply just believing in your own worth? Well, you're not alone. Welcome to the Crazy Confidence Coach podcast. I'm Heather Edwards, Master Certified Life Coach, and my goal is to empower you to step into your most authentic, confident self. Here, you're going to discover practical strategies and powerful insights to help you improve your communication, deepen those relationships, and elevate your self-esteem. And each week, I'm going to guide you through some actionable tips and mindset shifts that are specifically designed to help you break free from fear, show up boldly in every area of your life, and build crazy confidence. Are you ready to stop hiding in the shadows, playing small, and avoiding the spotlight? Grab your favorite pen and a notebook, and let's get to it. When I say I'm a recovering people pleaser, I mean in recovery every day. I'm a person who loves to be helpful. I like to be overly prepared, and I like to be seen as the helpful one. I remember when I was about 8 years old and I was sweeping my grandmother's floor, her wooden floors that I love and that are so beautiful. And my aunt said to me, "You're such a good helper, Heather. I love when you are helping." And from that moment on, I was hooked. I loved that feeling of that pat on the back. I loved being helpful and being seen as a human for what I was doing. And I can tell you, I struggle all the time now, even today, to want to be the person that people lean on and get help from, because I love to be that helpful, kind, overly prepared, and the person who jumps in. But here's what I'm learning about myself. If I started looking at myself and seeing that there were some hidden agendas behind my helpfulness, and ooh, man, that's hard to look at yourself and see some of the things that aren't really ideally where you want to be in your life, because it creates some other drama for you in your life and in the way that you show up. So let's talk about exactly what is people pleasing, because it often looks like a virtue. It looks like kindness, reliability, preparedness, and honestly, that's what makes it so hard to spot. But by the end of today's episode, you're going to understand why you do it or I do it, and I'm going to give you 3 concrete tools to start helping you shift that little people-pleasing gene that you have and help you break that habit, or at least break it in a way that will make you be a little bit more functional and not be plagued by the people-pleasing issue that you might have. People-pleasing it's not just being nice, it's actually a survival strategy that outlives its usefulness. So here's the actual definition: prioritizing others' approval or comfort over your own needs, boundaries, or truth, even at a cost to yourself. So that's the definition of it. But if you think about it, it's that being nice. It's that survival strategy that you've developed over the years or over the time that you've lived out your life because you've gotten something or experienced something and you're not really seeing that connection, but you're using people-pleasing in a way that isn't maybe necessarily healthy, or at the very least, it's not serving you. And if I'm being really transparent, it also isn't really serving the people in your life either, and there are reasons for that as well. So where does it come from? It comes from early conditioning, family dynamics, trauma, religion, culture. It comes from fear of being abandoned or conflict, or even being rewarded for compliance, which I feel like mine comes from that, because I truly have some things that I love, like just being helpful is something I love, that part of life. I've always enjoyed being the person that people look to for getting help. That trap, though, of virtuous motivation, wanting to help, wanting to be prepared, wanting people to be happy with you. They're not bad desires, but they can trap you. When they do, they can drive your decisions by motivating you in maybe in hidden ways or motivating you in overt ways that you know of, but it becomes unhealthy. Here are some red flags to watch in yourself. They're little sneaky ways that people-pleasing disguises itself as something positive. First, over-preparing as performance. Being prepared is great, but are you doing it to actually help, or are you managing how people see you? So you want to check the motive here. This can be hard if you aren't able to step out of yourself and evaluate your motives, but time and practice will make it easier for you to catch yourself. So if you're being prepared in simple ways and just for yourself, great, that's wonderful. But watch out for doing it when you're managing how other people see you and you're doing it simply for a performance value. The next thing is saying yes before you've even thought about it. So I want you to think about the last time somebody asked you to do something and you said yes right away. Once you've said yes, you realize, ooh, I really didn't think that through, and that's probably not going to be great for you, and you do it anyway. So are you that person that has become the automatic yes person? Do you agree before your brain has checked in with your body or within your spouse or your calendar? Is that automatic compliance truly generosity? Probably not. It's most likely anxiety. It's coming from a place of fear about not being valued, not being important, or simply wanting accolades for being the yes person. The next thing that you want to look at is, are you the person who shows up and monitors the room? Are you constantly scanning for signs that somebody might be upset with you? Meaning, when you're in conversation or when you're engaging, are you adjusting yourself in real time based on other people's perceived moods? This can absolutely be response to having unresolved trauma or being triggered by past experiences. And if you find yourself in a situation where you're unable to relax and enjoy the moment or enjoy being in groups or being in environments, you may want to check yourself for having unresolved trauma or unresolved triggers that are causing you to adjust who you are or fit the room and leave you feeling exhausted when you're out of that space. Oh, this is a tough one for me because I can leave groups very exhausted. And I think some of that is just a performance thing where you want to be seen as being nice or being talkative or enjoying what you're doing. But be very cautious and watch yourself for, are you being authentic? Are you really being yourself? Are you showing up as yourself? Or are you watching the room and monitoring the room and adjusting yourself in real time? Because those are two very different things. Getting home and feeling exhausted because you weren't yourself is very different than leaving and being exhausted because you had a good time. And when you figure out that difference, you'll understand that one is people pleasing and one is just being yourself and having a great time and spending energy. One other thing to look out for is resentment after helping. If you feel drained or bitter after you're doing something kind, then most likely you haven't given it freely, or it was extracted from you, or you gave it out with attachments. Those hidden attachments are you want a pat on the back, or you want to be seen as somebody being helpful, or you want to be the one that's everybody calls, whatever that is. Or it can be when something is being extracted from you, the help from you. It could be that you're always the one that's always done it and people just expect you to do it. That's when you might find yourself to have resentment after helping. But here's the deal. You're in control over you helping or not helping, or you people-pleasing or not people-pleasing. So if you have resentment, that's a sign that you are people-pleasing. The next one we'll talk about is mistaking identity for values. This thought, I'm just a helpful person, can become a cage. When your helpfulness feels like a non-negotiable, it's no longer a choice. It's a trap. And people around you will use that trap to get you to do things if you aren't careful. Let me give you a practical example because this one is a little bit complicated. Someone asks you to help you move on a weekend, on a Saturday, and you're already exhausted and you already had plans. So a person acting from a value thinks, I care about people and helping people, but I genuinely can't help this time. I'll offer what I can and I'll just have to be okay with not giving them help. The person who's kind of trapped by an identity thinks, I have to say yes. If I don't, I'm not a good friend and I'm not the person that I think I am. It may be what goes through your head, I'm not a good friend, or I should be helping is another way that might come about. But either way, your identity is tied to that actual part of it. What I want you to think about is all of these that I just talked to you about. The red flags: over-preparing as performance, saying yes before you've even thought about it, monitoring the room, being resentful after helping, and mistaking identity for values. If you see yourself in these, you might be a people pleaser, and that's okay. I am a recovering people pleaser as well, and I still do it, and I still work on being a better, more aware, and more conscientious person all of the time. It doesn't mean anything other than it may be something that you want to change. So here are 3 tools that I think will be very helpful for you if this is where you're at, if you're just in a place where you want to change it. So the first tool I'll give you is you want to practice the pause. Buy yourself a little bit of time. Before you respond to any requests, you have to pause. Sometimes I tell clients that you actually need to buy a day or 2. Can I get back to you on that? Let me look at my calendar and I will let you know. It just gives you time to think about it and not be reactionary, because a lot of times if you're a people pleaser, you just want to say yes. You want to not feel that immediate disappointment of saying no to someone, right? When you say no to someone, it feels bad for a people pleaser. You feel kind of stuck and you feel this little anxiety thing that happens, and you want to just no, I can do it, I can figure it out, even though that it may not be something that should be on your plate or needs to be on your plate. That's how a people pleaser can react. So you're going to buy yourself a breath, 5 seconds, 10 seconds, hopefully a day or 2, if possible, to check out my calendar or speak to my husband and make sure that we're on the right page and I can make this happen. The second tool is a motive check. Is your motive helpful or is it fear-driven? So you're going to ask yourself, am I doing this because I want to, or am I doing it because I'm afraid of what happens if I don't do it? Helpful equals freely chosen. Fear-driven equals people-pleasing. You do not have to act on the answer, just know it. So what I'm saying is, if you decide that this is something that you're doing because it's fear-driven, it's a note for yourself. And maybe you're going to change it right now and maybe not. Maybe that's something you'll keep working on, but it gives you self-awareness and more understanding of why you're making the decisions. It actually helps separate genuine generosity from anxiety management. So over time, you'll notice the patterns. There's going to be certain people that are involved. There are going to be certain contexts that are involved. And there are some asks for every single person, even if you're not a typical people pleaser, that are almost always fear-driven. This just helps you figure out what they are. And when it comes to the context could be context. I'm not saying contest, I'm saying context. The context that this is, it could just be at work, you're always a yes person. It could be for your husband, you're always a yes person. It could be with family, you always say yes. Whatever that context is that you always say yes, it will help you figure that out instead of just thinking, oh, I'm just a general people pleaser. Nope, maybe it's only within certain contexts or certain people or certain groups or certain experiences. And this helps you break that down and figure it out. So number 2 is the motive check, helpful versus fear-driven yeses or answers. The third tool we're going to talk about is the disappointment for someone on purpose challenge. Now, if you have talked with me or done any work with me, you know I love helping people build confidence in very weird ways sometimes. And one way that I have actually learned when I was getting my degree in communication, I had a professor who told us to get on the elevator, face backwards, like to the back wall of the elevator, and watch how everybody else reacts to you. First of all, you're very uncomfortable because it's out of the norm, but it builds your confidence and you realize that most people probably think it's silly, or maybe they'll change their positioning or whatever. It just helps you do something out of the norm and break your normal behavior and other people's normal behavior. So what I'm going to ask you to do here is something very simple. I'm going to ask you for your third tool is to disappoint someone on purpose and make it a challenge. Once a week, intentionally, you're going to say no to something. Low stakes here. You don't have to make it high stakes, but low stakes. You're going to decline an invitation. You're not going to over-explain. You're going to let someone else be mildly inconvenienced. And then you're going to sit with yourself, that discomfort, and notice, one, you survived. And two, notice what happened to you. What were the thoughts that were going through your mind? What are you telling yourself about yourself? And capture what is really going on inside of you when you're a people pleaser. So why is this helpful? Why does it help you? Because people pleasers are often terrified of this catastrophic experience that will happen if you say no. Rarely that happens, and small deliberate disappointments build that evidence in your mind, and that helps you understand that you're safe even when other people aren't happy with you. And it also helps you build muscle to not be a people pleaser and say no occasionally. Here's the reality. You can't actually control how other people feel. All that effort you keep by helping other people be happy, you really can't guarantee it. You put a lot of effort and energy into it, but you still can't guarantee that other people are happy. And the truth is that over time, if you keep saying yes, you develop bitterness or frustration or a complete disconnect, then eventually people will be unhappy with you anyway. So understand people will be disappointed. Sometimes that's okay. I need you to understand that all you have to do here is to slightly change your thinking. Your goal isn't to stop caring what other people think. Really, your goal is to stop letting that fear of what other people think make decisions for you. Again, the goal isn't to stop caring what people think. It's to stop letting that fear of what other people think make decisions for you. I think that people pleasing is a beautiful problem to have. I honestly do. But I also believe that beyond people pleasing is this place of a lot more peace, a lot more relaxation, and a lot more comfort with yourself and comfort for other people to understand you as well. Because the feelings and the thoughts and everything that come with people pleasing over time can be confusing for you, and they can be confusing for others. This week, I want you to do one of the 3 little tools I gave you, and I'll review those really quick. Number 1, practice the pause, buy yourself some time, and really think, would I say yes? And do I want to say yes? Don't just say yes to say yes. Number 2, the motive check, being helpful versus fear-driven with whatever your motive is. And number 3, disappoint someone on purpose. And this is a challenge to you. And I know it feels uncomfortable. I get it. I'm doing it myself and have done it myself. So I understand how you feel. The most generous thing you can do is show people who you really are and who you genuinely want to be, not the version of you that is trying to keep them comfortable. I really hope this has been helpful. If you think it's been helpful, please share this with 1 to 2 friends that you think it might be helpful for them as well. Thank you so much for hanging out with me today. It has been a blast. I would love for you to do me a huge favor and either go leave a rating or a review. And if you really love the podcast or you've learned anything at all, please pass it on to a friend or a family member that might enjoy the podcast as well. That's how I grow, and that's how I'm able to continue bringing you content. If you are interested in coaching, just go to thecrazyconfidencecoach.com. You can sign up for a free discovery call there. Thank you so much for being here. I hope to see you next Tuesday. so we can build our crazy confidence together. Love you big.